for coming. They did send out a bio for Lance so that we can show him great love for all the accomplishments that he's had throughout his life. I know when I've had these things read for me, I always just cringe because I don't want anybody to know anything. But Lance has served as the leader of the, and I didn't read this before, so she said 33 Club. What is that? It says 33 Club. Bloomington 33?
Bloomington, yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Over 1,500 members of Southern Indiana District that includes the 3 clubs in Bloomington and others as far away as Evansville, Columbus, Greenwood, Franklin, Terre Haute, and New Albany. The district also has 20 Interact clubs for high school and middle school students and 2 Rotaract clubs for professional ages 18 to 30, including 1 at IU Bloomington. Lance is the 14th governor from the Bloomington Club in the 100-year-old district. He will succeed Kirk Bushy of Vincennes Rotary. Recent governors from the Bloomington clubs are Jessica Hain, Jim Bright, Judy Witt, and Randy Bridges. Born and reared in Bloomington, Lance joined Bloomington Rotary in 2002. He has served on the board of directors and most recently the membership committee. He was club president in 2013-2014 and club treasurer for 6 years. At the district level, Lance has served as assistant governor from 2014 to 2017. And he currently serves as a membership co-chair. He is a graduate of the Rotary Leadership Institute. Outside of Rotary, Lance has also been active in youth programs, serving on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club of Bloomington for more than 20 years, including a term as board president, and also served at the state level. Also, he has been involved in clubs on the board for the Indiana Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. Lance received his BS in Industrial Management from Purdue. I can't believe I even said that word. And his MBA from Butler University. He has been a partner with First for over 16 years. He is a certified risk manager, certified insurance counselor who works with small and medium-sized businesses to assist them in identifying and maximizing or minimizing their risk exposures.
Thanks again to everyone. This is my first official visit, so please be gentle on me as we kind of work through the process this year. It's a great opportunity and certainly honored to be here with you today. Really, I'd like for this to be mainly interactive, so again, I'll give my few points, but certainly feel free to chime in any questions, and certainly hopefully I have a lot of time at the end to give some questions to start out there. But first, a couple things. It is starting a new tradition. In Rotary, you have to have the official Rotary socks. So Tracy, he's ahead of him, so he's got another pair that he could donate. So he cheated on me. So we got to have the official Rotary socks here.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect.
There we go.
Hold on. 3, 2, 1. That's super cute. Thank you.
And also, I would be, remiss. I mean, obviously, as we kind of come through our positions, we have a lot of people that influence us and such. And one of the people that I looked at as one of my great mentors was Judy Bush. She is one of the big reasons I'm here today. I was AG when Judy was DG, and you don't tell Judy no. And she was very, very persistent during my years as AG coming on, and kept asking me, would you consider being DG? Well, yes, Judy. You consider being DG? Yes, Judy. And so here I am today as a result of that. So really appreciate her. And John, just certainly for all that you guys have done, appreciate what you've done for us.
Thank you.
But again, it just seems like pretty amazing that now that we're starting to try to get back to normal. And what a great time and what a great theme for Rotarians this year is Imagine Rotary. Again, we're starting to kind of get back to our normal life, and it's a really good time. As we're coming out of the pandemic and starting anew, it's a time that we could need to imagine, the possibilities that have changed or before us, and how we could kind of reach out and transform the world. So again, our theme this year is Imagine Rotary, and it is a very, very timely theme to have. But obviously, the pandemic has been, put a new focus on us for individual and community health, and certainly as Rotarians, we all know that very, very well. Rotarians, we've been involved, and our roots go back to the polio eradication efforts going back to the late 1970s, when we participated in vaccination efforts to children in the Philippines back in 1979. And obviously we haven't stopped since and remained committed to the cause of getting that disease, out of the world and out of our vocabulary. We have made commitment to the pledge, and I could truly say we are this close. And we can now basically start to imagine what the world will be like without polio. But for those that have run races, or if you talk to anybody that's run a marathon, you know that the last mile is definitely the hardest. We must continue to raise awareness of our polio efforts as we strive to get across the finish line to a polio-free world. That's one of the reasons why I think come this October, for the World Polio Day, that we really want to celebrate it and announce to the world what our efforts have been. So I'll be reaching out to the clubs on that, trying to maybe organize some events and things of that nature to raise awareness of polio and hopefully raise some funds so that we could achieve that goal. Because we're down to just a couple countries and a few people. And it's really amazing to think about. And think about the legacy that will leave. Not only that we, ridded the world of this dreaded disease, but the infrastructure, partnerships, and collaborations that we have left behind so that we could take on the next disease, or pandemics, like what we're doing today with COVID-19. So it's a real tribute to what we've been able to do collectively as Rotarians, coming together. But certainly, as we assist with the care of the world, let's not forget about the great work we do right here in the communities. Certainly I know, and I've looked on your Facebook, you've been pretty active the last month or two, with your annual fish fry and the things that you did there, and certainly in participating and handing out the flags at the Limestone Heritage Festival. But again, our clubs continue in 21-22 work to improve their communities by providing resources at schools, for students that are experiencing emotional and social challenges. Introducing, local children and their families to world cultures. They've been able to provide library and art therapy to youth recovering from trafficking, abuse, and addiction. They provide safe sitter programs to siblings, provided, on-level, books for first grade students in Title I schools, just to name a few. And that doesn't even scratch the surface of what our clubs have been able to do in the last year in support of their communities. And guys, we were in a pandemic too. So it's just really, really amazing, the work that we've been able to do. So it's a great tribute to all of you. But however, to continue to increase our humanitarian service, we need to continue to support the Rotary Foundation. Programs like what have been mentioned would not have been possible without the continued support of Rotarians, and I know that was real close to Judy's heart as well. That's why really this year we want to kind of reach out to all Rotarians in our district and just ask them to beat their best. And historically, over the last 10 years in District 6580, our highest per capita giving was at about $128 per person. I would love to be able to get that to $130 per person in this year. And just think about that. That's really less than a cup of coffee a week. And the good work and things that we could do, with those funds and giving back to the communities that we serve. Now, in the case of Starbucks, that may be a shot of coffee a week, but we'll make do. Jessica Hain, as all of you know, will be helping us out on that effort. And if you know Jessica, she's kind of mundane, not too excitable and stuff, but she'll be kind of reaching out to clubs to help with some ideas of how we could reach to do that. But if the foundation is the fuel for what we do as Rotarians, our members are certainly the engine. It may be surprising to some, and I know our district membership chair will probably knock me over the side of the head when he hears me say this, but Rotary doesn't have an attraction problem. If you look over the last several years, Rotary International basically emitted 160,000 new members. The problem is we lost 170,000. If you look at our district in the last 5 years of which we had data, we lost 1,100 members. Our district owns only about 1,500 members in total. As you could tell, had a statistics minor, so I kind of like numbers. But that just goes to show that even though we've kind of sustained, and even though as the district would grow, think about where we would be if we could keep a few of those additional members in working on that. So Rotary does have an engagement problem. Engaging members is crucial to retaining members. As Rotarians, we need to adapt and retool, when it comes to our membership. And, you look at the communities and stuff that we serve in and look at, the adaptation that we've had to go through over the last 10 to 20 years. And I know in Bedford, it's very similar to what we've experienced in Bloomington. Bloomington used to be home to companies such as General Electric, RCA, Westinghouse, Otis Elevator. And I imagine Bedford, you could kind of name a few of those similarities as well. Matter of fact, the first production color TV set in the United States was produced in Bloomington, Indiana. Those companies are all gone. And we've had to adapt as a community to the new way of doing things. And now we have companies such as Cook, Boston Scientific, Baxter, and Catalent. And so as a community, we had to retool of how we think about things and adapt to the new way of doing things. So maybe Bloomington's not making TV sets anymore. But if you got a Moderna shot for COVID-19, it came out of Bloomington, Indiana. So it goes to show, that what we can do when we adapt and retool. So basically, it's reflected by the numbers that I presented. The traditional way of doing things is probably not working today. Finding the right part to engage each member should be our core function and the key really to growing our membership. So engagement is very, very important. In that light, I like to ask, several questions just to think about quietly among ourselves. Because when you think of membership, this is also a key component of it. But think of situations maybe that you've been in, maybe that you walked into a room, group of people that you feel like you didn't belong. Maybe you walked into a room and everybody was older than you or younger than you, or you felt like you were over your head. How many of you maybe have been with an organization or worked a job or such that you just didn't feel valued? You were like, what am I doing here? I'm wasting my time, etc. Have you ever looked at Rotary through the eyes of a non-Rotarian? What do they think, and what would their comments be? Rotary's vision statement says, together we see a world where people unite, take action, and create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. In order to accomplish this, we need Rotary to be diverse, equitable, and an inclusive organization. As a district, we need to be committed to supporting environments that foster open communication and shared learning. When I first came in, I'll just kind of give you an experience. When I came in, to Rotary for the first time, I was 30 years old. I'm only 35 now, by the way. But it was interesting because I came into a room where it was pretty intimidating for me. The average age of our club at the time was 64, and I'm 30, so it's like, okay, what am I going to talk about? Well, let's see, kids. Well, let's talk about grandkids, things of that nature. Obviously, I felt intimidating. Many people in our club were accomplished in their fields or whatever, so I kind of felt out of place. Obviously, it was a task. I was young, trying to grow up in banking at the time, and to take an hour and a half for lunch, and on a weekly basis, is a challenge. And obviously, we paid for meals at that time. And bankers, they had great benefits, guys, but usually starting out, the pay scale wasn't the best. So obviously, that was a challenge as well. Luckily, I had a lot of support, and I had a lot of support from my employer at the time that allowed me the time and helped support me in the membership dues. I had the support of a couple mentors in the club that kind of brought me along, got me involved, got me engaged, and got me through that point. But is that true of every member? And are you engaging members in ways that make them feel valued? Are you looking at things that may be obstacles to members that may not be an obstacle to you, but may be an obstacle to somebody else, and what we can do to work through that? So I do recognize that, this is not going to be an easy task, as the Rotary experience does differ from club to club, and certainly the dynamics of our structures, histories, and politics is certainly going to be relevant. Many of our conversations as we move forward, as we see throughout the nation today, are going to be difficult. But however, we must recognize that being a diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization will enhance the experience that each member has in Rotary, allows us to carry out more meaningful and effective service efforts, and create an open, welcome environment to appeal to people, really anyone that has a servant's heart. Because isn't that what Rotarians are? We're here to serve, make our community better, make the world better. And so if somebody's, has that servant's heart, wouldn't we want to welcome them into Rotary? So we see how this all kind of starts tying together. So Jennifer Jones talks a lot about the care and comfort of our members. We want our members to feel welcomed, engaged, and valued for the contributions that they're making. In return, we're going to get a more engaged member. We're going to grow our membership, and we're going to be able to do a lot more good in our communities. So it kind of all ties together. A lot of times, we'll hear Rotarians, we'll talk about growing memberships and stuff like that. But it starts with the care of our current members and making sure that they're engaged and getting them involved and making sure that they feel valued. And I think Tracy could appreciate it doesn't mean putting the banker as your treasurer and getting them involved, because a lot of times they may be looking for different things to get engaged in. But there was kind of a quote that I ran across that, I think really kind of hit home with me, by Maya Angelou. She is a civil rights activist, poet, actress. But she made a statement that was very, very profound. And she said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." Isn't that what diversity, equity, inclusion is all about? It's not what you see on TV. It's just about making people feel warm, welcome, comfortable, and cared for and valued in your organizations. So we are, certainly leading this charge with this big initiative as we move forward. We would ask, I ask all clubs to be bold and thoughtful in, what you would like to achieve. Certainly, as we discussed, the traditional ways may or may not work anymore. So the challenge we have is basically to honor our past while adapting to our future. And so I look forward to being of service with you as we kind of take this journey. It's a great, exciting time to be a Rotarian, and I tell you what, the world needs Rotary more than ever before. We've stepped up in the past, and we can do it again, and our time is now. So again, thank you for this great opportunity, and certainly reach out to me for whatever I can do to be of service. And would open up to any questions. So, we had to go virtual. Actually, I got everything, got my airplane reservations, confirmation of the hotel, and then the next week it got canceled because of the resurgence of COVID. So it's definitely a new world. I was supposed to go to Houston too, and then my family got COVID 2 days before I was supposed to leave, so didn't make it down there. So I had to do that virtually, but we're making it there, but we're slowly getting back to normal. For Rotary, for an organization that probably for close to 100 years kind of stayed on a traditional model, back in 2016 in the Council of Legislation, they really opened it up to the clubs and basically said whatever kind of works for you, give it a shot. And so we've seen all kinds of things happening right now, throughout the district. We've had several kind of alternative, non-traditional clubs form. One of them was started out as a satellite. It was called Evansville at Night. Much more non-traditional, more of a social, active club. But they meet in the evenings because people had difficulty getting there during the day, and they have grown like crazy. Vincennes has started a young professionals club. Again, they non-traditional meeting times. They just kind of meet wherever, but do a lot of service work. And they've just gone gangbusters, so we've seen a lot of that. Individual clubs, have altered meeting times. Instead of going, at lunch, every week, maybe they'll do a couple traditional lunches, go have a social meeting one week, in the evenings, and maybe do a service project for the next meeting. So we've really seen the meeting time shake up. Different types of membership structures. We have corporate memberships, where basically you have kind of the organization and then you have a key person serve as kind of the Rotarian, but different people could come in and out, and we've seen other clubs try kind of a family membership that way as well. So, you kind of have a husband, wife, wife and family that kind of comes in. So that, has worked out, quite a bit as well. And then, basically satellite clubs has also, started taking off. So I've seen a lot of clubs where maybe they've got a group of people that it's hard for them to meet at a certain time, and rather than shake that club up because that's going well, they may form an affiliated club that kind of works with them, kind of falls under the governance structure of the sponsor club, but they kind of meet at their own time, kind of do some of their own things and service projects as well. So there's, a lot of, things and a lot of talk happening right now, but it's really interesting. The growth we had in our district, our traditional clubs through the pandemic have done well. I mean, we've maintained membership, which is great when you think about it. But, our growth has really come in the non-traditional, just clubs, such as the Evansville at Night and the Vincent Young Professionals and such. So what I find, it's meeting people where they're at. So different people, and not everything's going to work for everyone, and it's just, finding that alternative that works. And I think you're seeing a lot of that. I mean, and I know you went through the process, club goals and stuff of that. What Rotary is really starting to measure is what clubs are doing. And so I know with Tracy kind of going this year, one of the key things is they're wanting a lot of online activity. Tell us what you're doing as a club and how active you are. So that's really what it's going to come down to, is what you're able to obtain, what you're able to do as a club, and really how your members support that. So it is really, instead of the traditional coming to a meeting every week, well, how many service projects did you go to? Did you do maybe a greeter or something, one week? Just little things like that. So it's really going to be based on, the theme, Rotary's People of Action. That's really what they're going to kind of start measuring on. So that's kind of been one of the change. And I always say, you're going to have some dialogue there. I know that attendance thing, we got some pushback on it, but I think we're starting to really see it, take hold now. And seeing some good things. They're definitely by far the largest contingent, but I will tell you right now that the new clubs that are forming, none of them are new. They are going to alternative times, so we are seeing a fair share of the evening type activities, 5:30 type thing. People come in after work or whatever, and maybe have a dinner or a cocktail or something with the group, and they have their meeting and kind of move on from there. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you, Lance. We appreciate you coming. Appreciate your insight. You all know I've kind of preached the same thing, and we'll continue to preach it. We're going to see changes. We're going to do a lot of things the same. There's going to be some things that evolve as we go. I sent out a link to the Google Doc that has everybody's assignment, a date for meetings. We may get to the point where we've adjusted that. So make sure you're taking a look at it so that you know what your dates are that you have responsibility for the meeting. And we can talk more about that. So next week, Debbie has the meeting with Brad Shelton, correct? Still coming? Brad's from Purdue Farms. And then the week after that, the 21st, is Donna's. And I actually will be out of town that week, bringing my daughter. So with that, we're going to have a board meeting with Lance right after. So if you want to stay for the board meeting, that would be great. We'll do it. I think we'll have enough people that we need to do it here. So please stay. And then anything else? Did you have anything? We will conclude with the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And is it fun?